You felt it before. Something's off. You can't explain it exactly. You just know that certain conversations leave you feeling smaller than when they started. Certain people make you question your own memory. Certain relationships have you apologizing constantly without being totally sure what you did wrong. That's not a coincidence, and it's not you being too sensitive. Here's what's actually happening. Manipulation rarely looks like manipulation. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't show up wearing a villain costume. It shows up looking like a concerned friend, a loving partner, a supportive coworker. It hides inside normal conversation. And by the time you realize what's been happening, months or years have passed, and you've quietly handed over your confidence, your clarity, and sometimes your self-worth to someone who was never going to give anything real back. These are the 6 signs. Learn them, because once you see them, you cannot unsee them. Sign 1. They make you question your own memory. You remember the conversation clearly. They told you they'd be there at 7. They said they were fine with it. They agreed. You know what you heard. Then they look at you like you're insane. I never said that. That's not what happened. You always do this. You twist things. And somehow, by the end of the conversation, you're apologizing for remembering something correctly. This is gaslighting, and the casual, everyday version of it is more common than most people realize. It sounds like you're too sensitive, you're imagining things, you're being paranoid, that never happened, you always exaggerate. These phrases aren't corrections, they're rewrites. They're designed to make your internal reality feel unreliable, so you start outsourcing your perception of events to the person doing it. Over time, you stop trusting your own memory. You start second-guessing your reactions. You ask yourself, am I overreacting so often that you can no longer tell when you have a legitimate reason to be upset? The neutralizer, say this exactly. I understand we remember it differently, but I know what I experienced, and I'm not going to argue about whether my experience was real. Then stop. Don't defend, don't justify, don't keep explaining. You've stated your reality. That's enough. You don't need their agreement to know what happened. Sign 2, they make you feel incredible, then disappear. The first month feels almost too good. Constant attention. You've never felt this seen, this chosen, this understood by anyone. They text first. They remember everything. They tell you you're different from everyone else. It feels like finally, this is what connection is supposed to feel like. Then something subtle shifts. The texts slow down. They're suddenly busy, a little cold, a little distant. You don't know what changed, and you can't figure out what you did. So you try harder, you reach out more, you become more available, more accommodating, more willing to overlook things that bother you, because you want to get back to how good it felt at the beginning. That's love bombing followed by strategic withdrawal, and the sequence is deliberate, whether they're conscious of it or not. The intense early phase isn't genuine connection, it's a baseline being set, a high being established, so that when it's removed, you chase it. The withdrawal creates the dependency. You're not addicted to them, you're addicted to the version of them that only shows up when they want something from you. The neutralizer, recognize the pattern out loud to yourself first. Write it down if you have to. I was intensely present, then pulled back, and now I'm working to earn back something I had for free at the start. Seeing the structure breaks its power. Then create distance deliberately, not as a game, but to give yourself enough space to ask, do I actually like this person, or do I just want to feel the way they made me feel that first month? Sign 3, they bring other people into it. Everyone agrees with me on this. Even your friend thinks you're being unreasonable. I was talking to her about it. My ex never had a problem with this. People have noticed how you've been acting. This is triangulation, introducing a third party, real or implied, to make you feel outnumbered, compared, or in competition. It shifts the dynamic from 2 people working something out to you versus everyone else. And suddenly, you're not dealing with their opinion anymore. You're dealing with a crowd you can't even address because you don't know exactly who's in it or what was said. It creates insecurity, jealousy, and self-doubt all at once, and it keeps you focused on the comparison instead of the actual issue. The neutralizer, I'm only interested in talking about what's between us. What other people think or do isn't relevant to this conversation. Bring it back to 2 people every time. Refuse to compete with a ghost. Sign 4, everything becomes your fault somehow. You try to bring up something that hurt you, and somehow, by the end of the conversation, you're comforting them about how hard it is to be with someone like you. You express a boundary, and they respond with how much it hurts them that you would even say that. You try to have a calm conversation, and they escalate emotionally until you're so focused on managing their reaction that your original point is completely buried. Guilt as a control tool works because most decent people don't want to cause pain, and a person who knows this will perform pain on cue, not always consciously, but consistently to redirect any accountability back onto you. The difference between genuine accountability and guilt as control is simple. Genuine accountability sounds like, "I understand why that hurt you. I want to do better." Guilt as control sounds like, "I can't believe you'd think I'd do that. After everything I've done for you, this is how you see me." One is about repair, the other is about reversal. The neutralizer, "I understand you are upset, and I still need us to talk about what I brought up." Hold the thread. Don't let the conversation get redirected by their emotional response. You can care about their feelings and still refuse to lose the point. Sign 5, they are always, somehow, the victim. Nothing is their fault. Every conflict has a version where they were wronged. Every piece of feedback becomes an attack they have to defend against. Every time they hurt someone, there's a longer backstory about how they were actually the one being hurt first. Strategic victimhood is one of the most effective manipulation tools that exists because it's almost impossible to criticize without looking like the bad guy. Try to hold them accountable and you become the aggressor. Try to set a boundary and you're being cruel to someone who's already struggling. The victim position is a shield and a weapon at the same time. The tell is consistency. Everyone has moments of genuine victimhood. Life is hard and people get hurt. But the person using it strategically is always the victim in every story, in every conflict with every person in their life. Somehow, the common denominator in every difficult situation they've ever been in is everyone else's fault. The neutralizer, stop trying to prove they're not a victim. You won't win that argument, and it's not the point. Instead, I hear you're upset, and I still need us to talk about what I brought up. Hold the thread. Don't let the conversation get redirected by their emotional response. You can care about their feelings and still refuse to lose the point. Sign 6, they ask a lot of questions, very casually. They're curious about your relationships, your finances, your insecurities, your family dynamics, your past. They ask in a warm, interested way, the way a good friend would, and it feels like intimacy. It feels like they care enough to want to know. But notice what they do with the information. It shows up later in a comment that lands just a little too precisely on something you're insecure about, in a joke that references something you told them in a vulnerable moment, in a conversation with someone else that you later find out included details you only shared with them. Information is currency to a manipulative person, and they collect it the way other people collect leverage. The tell is asymmetry. They know a lot about you. You know surprisingly little about them. The sharing only flows one direction. And when you do learn things about them, it tends to be things they chose to disclose strategically, usually things designed to make you feel like you owe them trust or sympathy. The neutralizer. You're allowed to be selectively private. You don't owe anyone your vulnerabilities just because they asked warmly. A real relationship can handle, "I'm not really ready to talk about that." Someone collecting information will find that answer frustrating. Watch the reaction. Here's the bigger thing to take away from all of this. Recognizing manipulation doesn't mean everyone around you is a manipulator. Most people aren't. Most people are just messy and human and doing their best imperfectly. The goal isn't paranoia. The goal is clarity. Because the real damage manipulation does isn't the specific incidents, it's the cumulative erosion. It's who you become after years of questioning your memory, chasing warmth that gets withdrawn, absorbing blame that was never yours, and shrinking yourself to keep the peace. It's the version of you that stopped trusting your own instincts because someone spent a long time telling you your instincts were wrong. That version of you is not who you actually are. And the first step back is simply knowing what you're looking at when you see it. You can't unsee this now. And if this helped, you know what to do.